What is going on, you guys? Missed the part here, back again with another Marvel's What If review and breakdown. In today's review and breakdown, we're going to be talking about what if the world lost its mightiest heroes, an episode that was filled with intense storytelling and just mystery. Marvel's What If episode 3 was really able to capture the feeling of a what if, and I feel like the flow of the story was really good and it really worked well. What shocked me was all the plot points and twists and turns near the end of this what if. I can honestly say I wish we would have gotten this what if in a live action format. We begin just like the original timeline in Iron Man 2, where Tony meets up with Nick Fury to talk about the Avengers initiative. The events leading up to this point seem to be going the same until Widow injects Stark with the cure, but Stark feels a reaction from it and starts choking on it. Fury and Widow are shocked and Stark falls to the ground dead by the injection. Widow would go into questioning as she was the one who injected Stark with the cure. Fury knows something's up and agrees that she didn't kill Stark and that someone else is behind this. We see Widow being handed to the SHIELD agents who seem to not be under Hydra's control at this time. Fury gets a call from Coulson about the hammer that was dropped in New Mexico in the sky. The flow of this episode starts to kick in as we see the events of the first Thor movie play out the same, and Thor goes to pick up his hammer until he is shot dead by Hawkeye. This moment was shocking and something that I didn't expect, and it really caught me off guard because me thinking Thor could take anything and then seeing the God of Thunder easily be killed without his powers really showed the darkness that Marvel brought to the story, and Fury is shocked, and even Coulson himself is confused at why Barton didn't stop. Clint was thrown into a cell that reminds me of the same room that Thor was in when he was put in for questioning by Coulson. Clint is talked to about what happened before Clint passes out and dies. Fury and Coulson are shocked that Clint was murdered in a cell that nobody was in. At this point in the story, it raises questions at who could be the killer, and it becomes a guessing game that I really liked what Marvel did here and what might play out in the future of the storyline. The SHIELD agents put their bodies together and start thinking of who could the killer be. I find these shots of the show where they're showing the dead bodies of the Avengers really gives us a really crazy look at what this type of show is going for and what tones they're going for, and we can really see that Marvel was really able to go out of their way by showing us this horrific scene, and it also shows us that they're not afraid to make stories like this and give us unique what if and fantastic spins on these classic stories. The story cuts to Hulk 2008, and as we can see, Mark Ruffalo was recasted as the Hulk as expected in this timeline, as Bruce and Betty are on the run. Black Widow shows up in this timeline and she goes to Betty to learn who might have killed Stark because the blame is still pointed at her being the original killer, and with Betty and her science skills, they might be able to get more answers here. I love how Betty already knows about SHIELD and how they come to her often about the Hulk, and it just adds more to the story and how in the original timeline she was in contact with SHIELD about Bruce Banner. Betty explains that something even smaller must have killed Stark because the injection wasn't even touched. The story gets crazy as Fury phones Widow telling her Clint has been killed with Stark and that there might be a connection. Fury explains how the Avengers project is being targeted and whoever is on the list is being killed off fast. Widow finds out that Bruce Banner is also on this list, and Bruce Banner reveals himself coming outside of the door. After the death of Thor, Loki would be the one to come to Earth to seek revenge, and I find this to be a very interesting dynamic because in the original Thor storyline and in this Marvel's What If, we can really see what Loki really thinks of his brother and how Loki immediately came to Earth after he found out that Thor was killed. Loki did care for his brother, and this is definitely noticed as he brought the entire Asgardian army to kill everybody in New Mexico. There is a massive standoff with Loki and the SHIELD agents while at the same time this is happening. The original 2008 Hulk film is happening too. Ross is seen without Emil Blonsky, which is a very interesting thing, and this time they hold their fire. Ross sees Widow as she tries to tell him not to fire, but the mysterious killer then shoots Bruce in the heart, causing him to become the Hulk. I was shocked that Bruce was shot, and right when I saw this happen, I figured that it was only a matter of time before the Incredible Hulk was going to die too. Loki attacks the SHIELD agents after learning that someone on Earth was guilty of Thor's murder. We can tell from this that Odin is still in his Odin sleep and that Loki is now the new king of Asgard, giving Loki a massive ego trip. Loki attacks the SHIELD agents with the casket of Ancient Winters and wipes the floor with them, showing the raw power of the casket. Hulk is easily defeating the army while Widow gets Betty to safety. We can see the secret killer shot something into Hulk, causing him to get bigger and bigger until the Hulk explodes and dies on the spot. The army and Betty are completely shocked and they can't even believe that the Hulk has died. I was confused when seeing this part in Marvel's What If, but it felt like the right moment to have this in a What If. Since we are dealing with alternate realities, this reality shows that Hulk might be strong, but even still, every hero has its weaknesses somewhere, and I find the show really explains to fans this concept by just killing him off completely. While I found it was funny in a way, but it was also a sad moment to see that Ross didn't want to kill the Hulk, and Betty is completely broken by this. Loki is still using the raw power after defeating most of the SHIELD agents. Fury asks Loki to make a deal with him by explaining that Tony and Clint were killed by the same person who killed Thor. Loki thinks of what Odin would do and decides to listen to Fury by teaming up with Fury. Widow searches SHIELD files to find out who might be responsible for the murders by looking into the Avengers project files. The theme of the killer gets more intense as we can see the killer stalking Widow as she is looking for the files. She goes to phone Nick Fury before she is beaten to death by the killer. I found this to be such a dark but cool scene until it cuts to a very dark and gritty diner scene with Nick Fury and Coulson. The episode really keeps with the creepy vibes and unexpected type scenarios and really makes you want to invest more into the storyline. We learn that Fury has only a few hours left, and here's the last message Widow sent before she was murdered in the library. Fury learned that the killer was now after him, and he runs outside, and we have a cool moment that Fury was willing to call Captain Marvel, but decided that even in this dark situation, all of the heroes being killed, he didn't. We really see that pager is for bigger and more emergencies and tells us that even if the Avengers are dying and in danger, Fury will use it at the last minute, kind of like what we saw in Avengers Infinity War when all hell breaks loose. Fury goes to the Destroyer and asks to talk to Loki. Fury learns who the killer might be and goes with Loki to the graveyard, and that was Hope Van Dyne's tomb. We can see that it was revealed to be Hank Pym as the killer after his daughter was killed, and he seems to blame SHIELD for this. After the events of his daughter dying, Hank becomes the Yellow Jacket like the original comics, but this time Yellow Jacket is pure evil. Hank is revealed to be the killer, and I found this was a fantastic and awesome take on the heroes being killed, because during the story you really don't know who did it until the final battle in the graveyard. This scene shows such a cool moment with a broken Hank and Fury. The two fight in a last stand battle between the two, and Loki was the one who was fighting Hank all this time and easily defeats him, while Fury tells Hank that his daughter believed in what SHIELD stood for. Loki laughs as the guards take him away, and we don't know what kind of punishment he might face, but since Loki is the king of Asgard, we can assume that Yellow Jacket will be facing death, while Loki's plan to take over Earth is still in motion. He tells Fury that he wants to stay for a while, and at the end, we get this really funny but cool Loki scene in Asgard taking over the world by making everyone submit to him. SHIELD falls while Loki easily speedruns Avengers 2012 by taking over Earth. It shows that Fury still has a few tricks up his sleeve to defeat Loki and his armies when he learns Captain America is still alive. Fury also phones Captain Marvel to join him, so hopefully that things weren't all lost in this timeline after most of the heroes were killed. I think this story was one of the best, if not the best, what if stories so far, and episode 3 really had twists and turns that I didn't expect, while they kept the story a flow and a perfect mix with elements that we really didn't see coming near the end like the original timeline, and the story changed drastically while we can still see how it's almost like the same with Fury getting two captains at the end to fight off against Loki. Whether they would win or lose, they still got Captain Marvel, so it makes me want to see more of this universe, and I really love how Marvel was so dark and gritty with the storyline. They definitely were not afraid to go into the deep end and show the heroes getting killed off. I think it was a perfect choice using that week to make this story happen, and I'm excited to see more of Marvel's What If. I would definitely rate this episode a 10 out of 10 for me. I just really liked the flow, everything was done right, things were pitch perfect, and I can honestly say this was a very dark and intense Marvel's What If. So that is going to be my review of what if the Earth's mightiest heroes had fallen before Avengers 2012. Definitely a very cool what if, and if you guys did enjoy my review and want to see more, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn your notifications on. And I also also will be taking my own Marvel's What If requests, so if you guys have any that you would like to see, let me know, because I might get to them fast. But anyways, as always, thanks for tuning in, and have a fantastic day.